Hello, this is Michael with MVLConcrete. I'm going to show you a clip on different ways we could repair a crack. As you can see in this film right here, there's a crack in the concrete. This is a paver that I made, so it's not a real crack, but just to give an example, the first one of the options is to use a Dremel with a diamond burr tip, and we'll open the crack up slightly. This is the more decorative way of repairing the crack. We will usually have to open the crack up because we have to allow the repair mortar to stick to the concrete. The more that it's opened, the more surface area that the repair mortar will have to bond to. So this is one way of repairing a crack. This will minimize the look of the crack. It won't pop out as much as the other repair that I will show you here in a second. This is a little bit more costly than other options, mainly because it takes a little bit longer to use this tool to go around and slightly open the crack. And this is again, it's just using a little diamond burr, and we go around and slightly open it. We could, after we open it, we will put the material in, which will be in this next clip coming up. Here I'm going to fill the crack up with a cementitious repair mortar. Another option is to use an epoxy, low viscosity epoxy, or we sometimes mix the epoxy with sand to make a repair mortar. But as you can see, this repair mortar has sand. That's why we have to open the crack up, is to allow the sand to get into the crack. The sand gives the mortar its strength, and it helps reduce shrinkage. If you use just Portland cement by itself, it will tend to shrink as it dries, and this will just re-crack. So that's why the sand helps reduce the amount of shrinkage, and it will help the cement stick and stay longer in the crack. This I'm scraping off. This is we usually will overfill it and then come back and grind it. But if we're done with the floor and you decide to have the crack repaired, we will typically just kind of scrape it flush and then use a sponge and sponge over it. This is just a video of a way we grind it. If it's a floor, I won't use a grinding stone. I'll use a hand grinder or one of the big grinders we have. This will produce a more flush surface. The crack repair mortar will sit flush with the concrete, so if we're polishing the floor, it will look a lot better. This has to be done before we start polishing the floor, so it's not feasible if the floor has been polished already. This next video is the second option, and this is the best way to fill a crack, is to use a crack chase blade. It's a V-cut blade, and we open the crack up. This allows the most surface area for the repair mortar to stick to. This is typically done in warehouses and where the crack really needs to stay due to forklifts and moving objects going over the floor. So it's not very decorative, so if it's a decorative finish, then I wouldn't recommend it. This is a picture of what the crack looks after we chase it out. And here again, I'm just using the same cementitious repair mortar, and I'm shoving it in there. Again, I could use epoxy and epoxy mortar. Just in this video, I'm just showing this way. Again, I typically will just leave it overfilled like that, and then come back with the grinder and grind it flush. If it's a finished floor, I will just kind of scrape it off and then smooth it out a little bit, and then run a sponge over it to smooth it out a little bit more. When you do it that way, it's not going to sit flush with the surface. It will be a little bit more like when you're grouting tile. It will be a little bit recessed. Now this video, you'll see that the crack material is very, or it blends in very well. It's because this is a paver poured with the same material I'm using to fill the crack. So that's why it's blending very well. This is just a clip of me grinding it again. In this next picture, you can see the right side. This is where we use the big crack chase blade. And then the left side, you can see a little bit of the small crack. That's where we use the Dremel with the diamond burr tip. Again, this paver I used a particular cement, and then to fill the crack I used the same cement, so the color matches fairly good. This is, you can see the left side, that's a little bit better. The right side is a little damp, the repair mortar, so it's a little bit darker, but in real life you usually won't have a color that matches. We could custom blend a repair mortar, but it takes time and trial and error of figuring out the right blend of Portland cement and pigment, and sometimes it matches fairly well, sometimes it doesn't, so it's a hit or miss sometimes. But I hope this video helps explain the different ways we could go about repairing the crack in the floor. If you have any questions, you could go ahead and comment below, and I'll try to respond to them in a timely fashion. Sometimes I don't see them right away, but if not, you could also email me at my email address that will be listed in the description. Thank you for watching.